In a world that often forgets its heroes too soon, Kris Kristofferson's story is a reminder of how legends are truly made, not just through fame, but through resilience, sacrifice, and a relentless pursuit of passion. On September 26, 2024, the world bid farewell to Kristofferson, a man whose voice and artistry echoed through generations. To many, he was a gifted songwriter whose lyrics seemed carved from raw emotion. To others, he was the gravel-voiced actor who brought a rare authenticity to every role he played. But beyond the spotlight, Kristofferson was a man of secrets, stories of struggle, sacrifice, and deeply personal revelations that only came to light in his final days. Kristofferson's journey began in the sun-soaked town of Brownsville, Texas, where he was born on June 22, 1936. As the eldest of three in a strict military family, discipline was woven into his upbringing. His father, an Air Force officer, instilled in young Kris a sense of duty, but it was his mother's quiet strength that shaped his sensitivity. The family's frequent relocations exposed Kristofferson to diverse cultures and ideas, but it also left him searching for a sense of belonging. By the time he reached high school in San Mateo, California, Kristofferson was already displaying the brilliance that would define his life. A gifted athlete, he excelled on the football field and even tried his hand at Golden Gloves boxing, proving he was as tough as he was talented. But his true passion was words, an affair sparked by his love for the poetry of William Blake. At Pomona College, he not only devoured literature but began to craft his own stories, winning prestigious writing awards, including a top prize in the Atlantic Monthly Short Story Contest. Graduating with honors in 1958, Kristofferson's academic brilliance earned him a Rhodes Scholarship to Oxford University, where he continued his literary pursuits. But even in the hallowed halls of academia, music was never far away. Performing under the stage name Kris Carson, he played local clubs, pouring his soul into songs that were raw, poetic, and intensely personal. Yet his path took an unexpected turn. Following family tradition, Kristofferson joined the U.S. Army, training as a helicopter pilot and eventually serving in West Germany. By 1965, he had risen to the rank of captain and was offered a prestigious teaching position at West Point. But a trip to Nashville that summer would change everything. The city's vibrant music scene sparked a fire within him, and suddenly, the thought of a secure military career felt like a cage. In a bold move, Kristofferson resigned his commission, turning down West Point to chase an uncertain dream, becoming a songwriter. But dreams have a price. His family, especially his mother, was devastated, considering his choice a betrayal. The strain was so intense that Kristofferson wouldn't speak to his mother for over 20 years. Alone in Nashville, he struggled to make ends meet, working odd jobs, including sweeping floors at Columbia recording studios. It was here that fate took a turn. Kristofferson seized a moment of chance, handing a demo tape to June Carter, asking her to pass it to Johnny Cash. But like countless dreamers, his tape was lost in a sea of others. Frustration mounted. Desperation became his constant companion. At one point, burdened by medical bills for his son's health issues and reeling from a broken marriage, Kristofferson's life seemed to unravel. Then came the moment that would become legend. In a dramatic, almost reckless gesture, Kristofferson piloted a helicopter straight onto Johnny Cash's front lawn. It was a gamble, one that could have ended in disaster, but Cash, intrigued, listened to Kristofferson's Sunday Morning Coming Down. The song became a hit, and in 1970, it won Song of the Year at the Country Music Association Awards. From that moment, the world could no longer ignore Kristofferson. His lyrics, raw and poetic, resonated with a generation. Hits like Me and Bobby McGee, immortalized by Janis Joplin, Help Me Make It Through the Night, and For the Good Times cemented his place among country music's elite. Yet fame brought its own struggles. Kristofferson's rise was meteoric, but his personal life was turbulent. Failed marriages, battles with substance abuse, and the lingering ache of a fractured family haunted him. But through it all, he remained a poet, one who wrote not just with his pen, but with his heart. As an actor, Kristofferson brought the same raw authenticity that defined his music. Films like A Star is Born showcased his rugged charisma, while roles in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid and Convoy revealed his depth as a performer. Yet even in Hollywood, he remained an outsider, a rebel whose artistry was never just an act. Kris Kristofferson's life was a tapestry of highs and lows, of soaring success and heartbreaking loss. But it was also a testament to resilience, to a man who dared to defy expectations and carve his own path. As we look back on his incredible journey, we are reminded of the power of music, the beauty of defiance, and the enduring legacy of a true American original. His passing on September 26, 2024, was not just the end of a life. It was the closing of a chapter in the story of American music, a tale of courage, sacrifice, and a voice that will echo for generations to come. In 1971, Kris Kristofferson took a giant leap that would forever solidify his reputation, not just as a gifted songwriter, but as a bona fide recording artist. The songs he crafted, like Help Me Make It Through the Night, captured the raw emotions of love, longing, and vulnerability, and they resonated deeply with listeners. It wasn't long before Hollywood came calling. He made his acting debut in The Last Movie, directed by the legendary Dennis Hopper. His involvement in the Isle of Wight festival saw him rubbing elbows with rock royalty of the time, further cementing his place in the cultural zeitgeist. By the end of 1971, Kristofferson had gone from being a relatively unknown figure in the country music scene to a name that was impossible to ignore. His songs were everywhere, with 3 of them competing in multiple categories at the Grammy Awards. And in March 1972, Kristofferson took home the prestigious Grammy for Best Country Song for Help Me Make It Through the Night, officially marking the moment when his ascent to stardom was sealed. But this was just the beginning. That same year, he released Jesus Was a Capricorn, an album that would go on to become a massive success, with the album's first single, Why Me, reaching #1. One on the country charts, it was clear that Kris Kristofferson was not just a passing phenomenon, he was here to stay. By November 1973, Kristofferson's popularity was undeniable. Jesus Was a Capricorn had sold 500,000 copies and hit the top spot on the country charts, ensuring that he was firmly entrenched in the fabric of American music. While this period marked a professional triumph, Kristofferson's personal life was also experiencing a shift. After a divorce from his first wife, he found love once again with fellow singer Rita Coolidge. The two not only shared a romance, but also formed a musical partnership that captivated the country music world. Their duet album, Full Moon, released in 1973, shot straight to #1 on the country charts, and the duo took home 2 Grammy Awards for their hits, From the Bottle to the Bottom and Lover Please. For a time, Kristofferson and Coolidge were the golden couple of country music, dominating both the stage and the charts. But while their marriage came to an end, Kristofferson's musical success remained on an upward trajectory. His solo albums, such as Spooky Lady's Sideshow, Who's to Bless and Who's to Blame, and Surreal Thing, performed decently, but none reached the same heights as his soundtrack work. His contribution to the soundtrack of the 1976 film A Star is Born, which he worked on alongside Barbra Streisand, became a massive hit. The album topped the Billboard 200 and went platinum by 1977, selling over 4 million copies. This was more than just a country success. It was a mainstream sensation that propelled Kristofferson into a new echelon of stardom. As the decade wrapped up, Kristofferson continued to release new music, with albums like Easter Island and Shake Hands with the Devil emerging in the late 70s and early 80s. Despite these releases, it was his final duet album with Coolidge, Natural Act, that marked the end of an era. Even after their personal and professional split, Kristofferson's songs continued to resonate with fans. Fellow country legends, such as Willie Nelson, frequently covered his work, and the two teamed up for collaborative projects. The 1980s and 1990s were a roller coaster for Kristofferson, filled with both triumphs and setbacks. While he continued releasing solo albums, such as To the Bone, 1981, Third World Warrior, 1990, and A Moment of Forever, 1995, it was his collaborations that truly shone during this period. One of his standout projects was The Winning Hand in 1983, where he joined forces with legends like Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton, and Brenda Lee. The album hit number 4 on the Billboard Country Albums chart, reminding fans that Kristofferson still had that star power. 1984 saw Kristofferson return to the silver screen, starring in the film Songwriter and contributing to its soundtrack. His work earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song, a testament to his multifaceted talents. But it was 1985 that truly marked a monumental year for Kristofferson. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and his career hit another high point when he became a member of the country supergroup The Highwaymen, alongside Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, and Waylon Jennings. Their debut album, Highwaymen, reached number 1 on the country charts, producing the Grammy-nominated title track. The album eventually sold over 1 million copies, cementing the Highwaymen as one of the most iconic collaborations in country music history. The group followed up with Highwayman 2 in 1990, which also earned a Grammy nomination. However, their final album, The Road Goes On Forever, 1995, didn't achieve the same level of commercial success. Still, even with the ups and downs of his career, Kristofferson's legacy as a songwriter continued to grow, bolstered by his collaborations and the immense respect he garnered within the music industry. But Kris Kristofferson's talents weren't confined to music alone. His presence in Hollywood grew steadily throughout the 1970s, beginning with his debut role in The Last Movie, directed by Dennis Hopper. Kristofferson's foray into acting was seamless. He quickly shared the screen with major names, such as Gene Hackman in Cisco Pike, and took on the iconic role of Billy the Kid in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. He also starred alongside Ellen Burstyn in Martin Scorsese's Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. It wasn't long before Kristofferson's big screen presence was undeniable. Yet, it was A Star Is Born, 1976, where he played an aging rocker opposite Barbra Streisand, that truly made Kristofferson a household name in Hollywood. While critics weren't universally impressed with the film, audiences loved it, and it became a box office hit. The soundtrack, featuring both Kristofferson and Streisand, became an even bigger success. Kristofferson's performance earned him a Golden Globe for Best Actor, further solidifying his standing as a major Hollywood star. The late 70s and 80s were a different story. While Kristofferson continued to act, much of his work in film was forgettable, with roles in movies like Heaven's Gate and No Place to Hide failing to make much of an impact. However, Kristofferson's versatility as an actor came to the forefront again when he took on the politically charged role in the limited series America, 1987, imagining a dystopian future where the Soviet Union had taken over the United States. Just when it seemed like his acting career was in decline, Kristofferson made an impressive return in Lone Star, 1996, where he portrayed the complex role of Sheriff Charlie Wade. His performance was critically acclaimed, proving he still had the chops to be a leading man. As his career continued to evolve, so too did Kristofferson's place in Hollywood. He returned to the big screen with force, landing roles in the Blade Vampire trilogy, where he portrayed the iconic character Whistler, an invaluable ally to the film's protagonist. This trilogy marked a resurgence in Kristofferson's acting career, reinvigorating his status as a seasoned and reliable actor. Alongside his participation in blockbuster films, Kristofferson also took on more heartfelt roles, such as in A Soldier's Daughter Never Cries, 1998, a drama directed by James Ivory that showcased his ability to delve into complex, nuanced characters. His versatility shone through again in Payback, 1999, where he starred alongside Mel Gibson in a gritty action thriller, and Planet of the Apes, 2001, a film directed by Tim Burton that added another notable title to his expansive list of cinematic credits. Despite his success in these major roles, Kristofferson never lost touch with the independent film scene. He appeared in smaller films such as The Motel Life, 2012, and Traded, 2016, allowing him to stay connected to the core of Hollywood's creative community. These smaller productions allowed him to explore a variety of characters, proving that Kristofferson's star power wasn't confined to the commercial sphere. His continued presence in films and television shows that his ability to stay relevant in the entertainment industry, no matter the changing tides, was a testament to his enduring talent and resilience. However, the public image of success and stardom didn't shield Kristofferson from his own personal demons. The addiction that plagued him in the 60s and 70s was a dark chapter of his life, one that nearly derailed his career and destroyed him. His struggle with alcohol was no secret. Kristofferson himself admitted to being a functioning alcoholic, and his relationship with alcohol wasn't a fleeting phase. It was a way of life, an integral part of his identity during the peak of his career. Bottles of Jack Daniels, tequila, and whatever else he could find became the constant companions to his performances, and the idea of stepping on stage without a drink in hand seemed unimaginable to him at times. Alcohol was more than just a social lubricant for Kristofferson. It was a shield, a tool to mask the emotional turmoil and insecurities that accompanied his fame. Kristofferson's battle with alcohol wasn't just a private struggle. It nearly claimed his life. In an open interview with People, he revealed the staggering extent of his drinking, explaining that he didn't expect to live past 30. The toll on his body was profound. His liver, severely swollen from years of heavy drinking, had grown to the size of a football, a shocking sign that his body was at its breaking point. Yet, despite these alarming health warnings, Kristofferson found the strength to quit drinking cold turkey at one point, demonstrating the resilience that would define his life. But even after this decisive moment, the addiction didn't let go easily. Throughout his life, Kristofferson continued to wrestle with his dependence on alcohol, admitting that even during his later years he always kept a half-gallon of Jose Cuervo in his trailer, a constant reminder of the grip addiction still held on him. Though his success as a songwriter and actor was well-deserved, it was clear that Kristofferson's personal life was fraught with difficulty. His public battles with addiction were compounded by a pervasive sense of inadequacy, something he struggled with throughout his career. Despite being one of the most successful and revered figures in country music and Hollywood, Kristofferson often spoke candidly about his sense of being an outsider, of not truly belonging in the entertainment world. His path to fame had been anything but conventional. From being a Rhodes Scholar and a helicopter pilot in the U.S. Army to a songwriter, Kristofferson's journey to stardom was marked by a series of sharp turns that left him questioning his own place in the industry. Even after achieving success on both the music and acting fronts, Kristofferson never quite shook the feeling that he was an imposter. The very nature of his career, shaped by an intellectual background that seemed at odds with the world of country music and Hollywood, left him constantly questioning whether he truly deserved the accolades. In interviews, he would express doubt about his own talent and worth, despite having written some of the most iconic songs in music history, such as Me and Bobby McGee and Sunday Morning Coming Down. This vulnerability, coupled with his openness about his struggles with addiction and self-doubt, only served to endear him to his fans. They admired his authenticity, his ability to share his insecurities with the world, showing that even legends have their moments of self-doubt. Kristofferson's life story is one of incredible highs and devastating lows. He battled with addiction, personal doubts, and health challenges, yet through it all, his creativity never faltered. His success wasn't defined merely by the accolades he received, but by the raw honesty he brought to his work. His music, filled with pain, longing, and hope, resonated with listeners in a way that few artists could replicate. He became an icon not just because of his talent, but because of his ability to embrace his imperfections and share them with the world. In the later years of his life, as his health began to decline, Kristofferson remained a beloved figure in both the music and film industries. He continued to work, to create, and to inspire, even as his cognitive abilities were affected by Lyme disease. Yet despite these challenges, he was surrounded by love and respect from his family and fans, who recognized the depth of his contributions to both the entertainment world and the broader cultural landscape. His passing in September 2024 at the age of 88 left a void, but his legacy lives on. Kristofferson's impact on music, film, and pop culture is undeniable. He crafted timeless songs that continue to be celebrated, and his acting performances, often raw and vulnerable, will forever be etched in the memories of those who witnessed them. His ability to blend artistry with personal experience was what made him a legend, and it is this very quality that guarantees his place in history. Despite the personal struggles that threaten to overshadow his professional success, Kristofferson's story is ultimately one of triumph, resilience, and the enduring power of art. Through all the chaos of addiction and self-doubt, he never lost sight of his ability to create, and in doing so, he gave the world an unparalleled gift. Kris Kristofferson's life was one of both remarkable success and personal struggle. For decades, he stood as a towering figure in country music and Hollywood, known not only for his unforgettable songwriting and acting, but also for his raw, unapologetic honesty. Yet beneath the public persona of the rugged icon was a man who constantly grappled with his own insecurities and demons, personal battles that, for all their weight, only added to the complexity and beauty of his story. Addiction, of course, was a formidable foe for Kristofferson. Like so many of his contemporaries, he used substances as a coping mechanism. His relationship with alcohol became one of his defining struggles. Yet, this was only one battle in a much larger war within himself. As much as he conquered the highs of success, there were moments when he felt like an outsider, a man out of place in an industry that had embraced him. Despite his fame as a songwriter and actor, Kristofferson often referred to himself as an imposter, a man who stumbled into success rather than earning it. The very notion of belonging in the world of show business eluded him, especially when his career had begun so differently. Before Kristofferson became the country music legend we know today, his life path was radically different. A Rhodes Scholar, a military officer, and a helicopter pilot in the U.S. Army, Kristofferson's life had been shaped by discipline, duty, and intellectual rigor. He wasn't the typical figure one associates with Nashville or Hollywood. The dichotomy between the man who could analyze a poem by William Blake and the one who would later write Me and Bobby McGee seemed almost absurd. In his own words, it felt like he had always been a fish out of water in the entertainment world. He spent years questioning if he truly belonged. But for all the self-doubt that plagued him, Kristofferson's achievements were undeniable. He wrote some of the most iconic songs in the history of American music. Sunday Morning Coming Down, Help Me Make It Through the Night, and Me and Bobby McGee are just a few of the songs that cemented his place in the annals of songwriting. And yet, despite penning these classics, he felt disconnected from the recognition they brought him. His struggles with imposter syndrome were something he spoke about openly, something that resonated deeply with his fans. In interviews, Kristofferson revealed how hard it was for him to accept that he had earned his place in the spotlight. Even after receiving accolades and admiration for his songwriting and acting, he remained self-critical. He often wondered if he was truly deserving of the attention he received, which only made him more relatable to fans who appreciated his humility and authenticity. There was no pretense with Kristofferson. His imperfections, his vulnerability, were woven into the fabric of his success, and it's what endeared him to the public. In an industry often defined by egos and artificiality, Kristofferson stood out as a man willing to be real, even if it meant exposing his darkest doubts. However, while his honesty won him fans, it also kept him in a constant internal battle. His addictions to alcohol were legendary, and his vulnerability became part of his narrative. For a man who had once looked at his own life as a series of mistakes, it was hard for him to believe he had made the right choices, especially given how far he had come. The highs of his career seemed a poor compensation for the lows he had endured. And yet, Kristofferson didn't hide from those struggles. He lived through them, and in doing so, he became a symbol for others facing similar battles. Health issues only added to the weight of his personal challenges in his later years. In the years preceding his death, Kristofferson faced memory loss, initially suspected to be Alzheimer's or dementia. It was later diagnosed as Lyme disease, an illness that took a significant toll on his mental faculties. Even as he battled these health issues, his connection to his fans and his family remained intact. He was a beloved figure in both the music and film industries, and even in his declining health, he remained a towering presence in the hearts of his supporters. Kristofferson's death on September 28, 2024, at the age of 88, marked the end of an era. The man who had written some of the most influential songs in American history, who had acted in films alongside legends, and who had lived a life marked by both fame and fragility, had passed away peacefully at his home in Maui, Hawaii. His family expressed profound gratitude for the time they had with him, and they shared their appreciation for the outpouring of love from fans around the world who had followed his journey for decades. Though his passing marked the loss of a giant, his legacy remains undeniable. Kristofferson is survived by his wife, Lisa Myers, and his 8 children, Tracy, Chris Jr., Casey, Jesse, Jody, John, Kelly, and Blake, along with 7 grandchildren. His family found solace in the fact that, though he is gone, his impact will continue to reverberate for generations. His music, his acting, and his storytelling remain part of the cultural fabric, inspiring new generations of artists and fans alike. Kristofferson's story is one of resilience and perseverance. His ability to transform personal struggles into art is a testament to the power of creativity and expression. He was not just a man of talent, he was a man who used his life's challenges to fuel his work. The rawness of his songwriting, the way he could capture the complexities of love, loss, and longing in a few short verses, is what set him apart from his peers. And though his path was not easy, his journey speaks to the strength of the human spirit, the ability to overcome, and the capacity to continue creating even in the face of adversity. For Kristofferson, his music and his films were more than just a career. They were the vehicle through which he navigated his own struggles. He never tried to hide his imperfections or his flaws. Instead, he embraced them, and it is this authenticity that made him a legend. Whether it was through his chart-topping hits or his captivating performances on screen, Kristofferson's ability to channel his personal battles into art is what made him truly unforgettable.